Hey gang, today we are taking a look at Transformers Fall of Cybertron Deluxe Class Jazz. I picked this figure up at Toys R Us along with Optimus. Now this figure has been interesting to me in the fact that I have always thought that the robot mode looked a little bit oddly proportioned, and finally getting it in hand, it is a little bit strangely proportioned, but it's not terribly bad. The thing that really throws me is the fact that the wheels are found on the forearms, and that just kind of throws off the overall proportion of the figure for me. But a lot of folks seem to like it, and that's not really that big of an issue. The figure itself is molded in white, jazz blue, and this strange blackish metal color. I'd say it's more of a gunmetal for the wheels and some of the parts on the back. Overall, the robot mode doesn't look too bad, but it does suffer from some really annoying features, which we'll get into in a little bit. So, speaking of the robot mode, let's go ahead and take a closer look. As I was saying, Jazz's robot mode does seem oddly proportioned, and I think that might just be me in the fact that he's got this large, wide torso, these skinny legs, and then these very thick arms. And that's probably just my own perception. One thing I did notice, however, is this recent trend to have Jazz having hollow chests. It happened with Generations Jazz, and it happened with a couple of other different Jazzes, especially in the movie. I don't know why they do that. Now, when I first got this figure, I didn't realize that he locks into place in a lot of places in the chest. And my initial reaction to this guy was he was a piece of junk because he was super floppy, everything flopped around. And that was just because it was packaged weirdly. The transformation wasn't complete, is what I'm saying. So the figure's gun is small and sweet and works really well. It just looks like a little harpoon-ish type gun, but I like it, and it does its function quite nicely. Jazz's posability is quite good. However, his head is a little bit limited. It isn't on a ball joint, but you can get it to pose somewhat. It can turn side to side, but it really doesn't have any back and up and down movement. Arms, though this piece does come apart a bit on mine, there is a ball joint here in the shoulder, and then a swivel joint right before that you kind of have to be worried about breaking or popping off the hinge because of the way the figure is built, but it works. Then a swivel underneath that, and a ratchet for a very cheap plastic ratchet for the elbow, and then the fist is on a ball joint. Hips are on a ball joint. Then there is a swivel just above the knee that is very tight. The knee itself bends on another plastic ratchet, and then there is a plastic ratchet here in the shin. And what I mean by plastic ratchet is it's not the type of ratcheting joint where you have two independent pieces that are ratcheting back and forth on springs. They're just pieces of plastic with grooves cut into them, as you can see on the elbow, that just slide past one another. So if you break the teeth, you are screwed. Jazz's transformation is actually a little bit more complicated than I initially thought. We're going to start off by just combining the legs here and pegging them together, then take the feet and push the ratchets all the way back. Sorry, I pushed it forward when it's supposed to be pushed back. So you've got the bottom of the feet flush against the back of the figure. Then take the arms and fold them, first get them bent out, and fold them back like that, so you've kind of got them jumping out into space. Fold the fists in, and then rotate or swivel the arms so that the wheels face forward. And then collapse the arms back, and then reach into the inside of the arm and unpeg it so that the sides of the vehicle mode will flip out as well. And then what you want to do is collapse the arm down and kind of get on an angle here and peg the forearm into this side section. And you just want to be careful because I've popped the arms off so many times doing this transformation. So you just want to be a little careful. Now, oddly enough, unfortunately, you would think that there's a peg here. You would think that would peg into this section up here, but it doesn't. So then what we're going to do is reach behind the figure and unpeg the back from the hip. And then that will allow us to unpeg the top, torso, part of the vehicle, the front vehicle mode, and fold that forward. What we want to do is fold that forward like that, down along the figure, and then put the crotch of the figure up underneath the front wheels. Then we take the head section and take that flush. Whoop, I did something wrong. So what I did was I actually got the head stuck. What you want to do is point the head forward. Take this whole section and kind of push it forward like that. That will free up the head for you to move it down like that. And then these two sections will meet up, though there's nothing that pegs into place under here, which that's a real problem for me because you really have to just kind of get your fingers in here and hold everything together as you're transforming it, which is stupid. Then we can take the legs and fold them up into the body of the vehicle. And then we can take the arms and fold them in, and they will peg into place. The way I just transformed the figure, you will have clearance problems in the vehicle mode. So what I did was, instead of continuing recording the review, I stopped and went back and started fiddling with the transformation a little bit to see if I could figure out what my problem was. And I did find it out. Now you remember back when I first started doing the arm transformation, I said that the one part of the arm does not peg into the rest of the inside of the arm. Specifically, this little tab right here does not peg in right here. Well, I was actually able to get it to peg in using a bit of force, so I will show that to you. So what we'll do is we'll peg the bottom back in, and then what I had to do was just using some good old-fashioned brute force, I had to line it up and then slide it into place. And you heard that snap. That was me pushing that bit into the peg hole. Now what that does for you is actually very important, because if you don't do that, the legs will not sit against the roof of the vehicle. Instead, they will be pushed down, and the figure will actually, the rear wheels will not be able to touch the ground because they will be sitting on these hidden wheels underneath. But when you do this, when you actually are able to get this piece to line up correctly, it prevents those inner wheels from touching the ground, and it actually makes the transformation work. And it also looks a hell of a lot better. Jazz's vehicle mode is that of a sports car from Cybertron, and for the most part it works. My only real problem is the white is so white, you really miss a lot of the details in the figure. And the rear of the car mode looks terrible. Hello, hands coming out of the back of the car. Overall, though, I really think this figure needs more paint. I don't know if that's maybe panel lining, or maybe it just needs more blue, maybe it could use some red. It doesn't look bad, mind you, but I really think this figure needs more paint. Some red paint would be great. In fact, if I had a drafter's marker in red, I would probably go along the body of the figure and paint it red, and paint all the panel lines in red. I think I might do that. But it looks good. I like the look of the vehicle mode. I like the Porsche-ness of it. Okay, it doesn't look anything like a Porsche. Who am I kidding? But overall, the vehicle mode is solid, and really getting that those two pieces to line up correctly really make a world of difference. It makes the vehicle mode one big cohesive piece. Again, this figure is a bit on the small side, so here he is compared with RID Dead End. As you can see, he is smaller than Dead End, which I just find very odd. Why are these figures smaller than the RID figures? And again, I will show you this 2012 figure compared to a figure from 2004. Yeah, it's definitely smaller. But like I said, I do dig the vehicle mode. I think the vehicle mode is nice. Overall, though, I think Jazz is not bad, but not great. There's a lot of missed opportunities with this figure, I believe. Like I said, it's not bad. You could do a lot worse, believe me. Arachnid from T.F. Prime is a perfect example. But I just feel that there's something missing with this guy. If that makes any sense whatsoever. It just feels like with the Prime, they went for a style. I'm fine with them going with a style, but it's almost as if the Jazz figure is missing detail. As I said, this figure lacks detailing. The blue is very nice. I love the shiny blue plastic. Or the paint job, I should say. But there's just something missing. It's something inherently missing on this guy, and I've been trying to figure out what it is. I think it just comes down to the fact that he needs more detailing on this toy. That, and he kind of looks like a gorilla. But overall, like I said, the figure's not bad. It feels like it's missing something. That and the face is a little weird, but overall, head sculpt's pretty good. So, would I recommend this guy? You kind of have to pick him up, especially if you're a completist like me. But if you're going to pick up any of the FOC figures, I would start with Optimus and then consider this guy second.